Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KAWFEE TAWK with your host, Diana Badea. Look at me. If you can see me right now, you see that I have a gorgeous glass mug. Who is she? I feel like every time I see a girl who has a glass mug in any of her content or videos, I'm like, that's a girl who has her life together. So when I picked this up from TJ Maxwell's this morning, while I was going to grab some coffee and some of my favorite syrup, I was like, I want to look like I have my life together. Because she's not doing so well. With the wedding, with the concert coming up. For those of you who do not know, I am playing March 27th at Chelsea Table and Stage. If you want to see me live, if you want to meet me, I'll be around after the show. If you want to watch it on live stream, the live stream will be available as well in the ticket link. And for my Patreon subscribers, you've had the link for a little bit now because you guys get everything early access. I will be posting the link as soon as I post the flyer for the concert. It's going to be my first first show officially kind of back. Obviously, I've performed before. I've done headlining shows before, but I feel like I'm coming back from somewhere because it's been a second and I'm happy to do it. So, my life is very crazy right now and there's a lot going on. And while I was thinking of what topics to talk about today, I had a very deep a conversation with both my parents, and I realized that I have a lot of trauma surrounding accepting help, surrounding accepting financial help. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about striving to be the best once we get into our first topic after our affirmations. Because there was a clip that I saw. If you follow me on TikTok, there was a clip that I saw that I did not like because the way that people are framing our generation when we aspire to be great, I have an issue with it. And I just want to remind you that aspiring to be the best in your field is never arrogance. Ever, 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 ever. We'll dive into that when we get into my roast of the week, which will be a new segment. So let's get our affirmation going. Okay? There's a lot going on in the world. It's taking everything in me to keep this podcast and to keep my content. I don't want to say neutral because I don't think I can't be neutral in today's day and age, but I'm trying to keep it light. I'm trying to give you guys an outlet away from the headlines because every time every time we all open up our phones or turn on the TVs, there's something new, and we are becoming conditioned to getting used to these crazy news headlines. And I just want to remind you all that this is not normal. I don't want us to feel like this is normal. We shouldn't be having to live through a major event every single day. 10 years ago, all the events that we're living through right now consecutively, hour by hour, would have been month-long news. And I just want to remind you to step off of social media, step off of the internet, step away from the TV, read a book, something pleasurable, turn off your devices for just a little bit. There's a sense of privilege that comes with people who can say like, oh, politics doesn't affect me that much and I don't like to think about it. But you also deserve that privilege even if you give that to yourself for 10 to 20 to 30 minutes to an hour a day. I know it's hard for a lot of us, including myself. So I just want to remind you to do that. I know it feels really difficult when I myself have not been able to purchase eggs in like a month, which is insane. But we're not going to get into that, are we? Let's start with our affirmation to help us all feel better and try to get us all out of this funk. We're all going through a difficult time financially right now. We're all taking a hit. And I just want to remind you that you can be the creator of your own opportunities, even if your life feels really bleak and scary and like everything's crashing on you. There's a lot of things going on in my life that I do not talk about because they're very personal, but I'm feeling this very, very deeply. So let's all take a deep breath together, shall we? Say this to yourself out loud or in your head multiple times. I am a strong individual who attracts an abundance of success and happiness. I am a strong individual that attracts an abundance of success and happiness. I want you to close your eyes or open your eyes, walk around your house and say that to yourself like you're having a conversation with your best friend. And that best friend is you. Say it until it feels real. If you don't feel like it feels real and you're like, oh, but this isn't true, say it until it feels true. Say it until the rewiring of your brain starts clicking and you're like, I could try this. I could take a risk on myself and write that ebook I was planning on doing. I could post that video of myself that I do think is really great, regardless of what other people are going to think of it. I want you to continue to say this affirmation until you start feeling just a little bit more confidence in yourself, a little bit more belief in who you are as a person, not what you have, not what your life looks like right now, but who you are at your core. Do you believe that you like that person? Believe in that person, not in all the other nonsense surrounding you right now. Believe in her and start from there. I am a strong individual who attracts an abundance of success and happiness. Whew. All right. I know that was a long intro, guys, but I feel like I kind of needed it. I feel like we kind of needed it to warm up and to get on into it. First off, if you're looking at me via video, let's get into how long my hair has gotten. That's how I've been taking care of myself spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. My hair, she's getting inches. I want to start with our roast of the day because this video I saw yesterday lit me on fire. It grinded my gears like you would not believe. It grinded my brakes until I was gliding into an intersection. I saw this video of a woman on, I guess what's called The Social. It's a talk show. Her name, irrelevant. Because also I don't want people to go and, well, I guess I already did that. I don't want people to go and send her hate, but like, bring back shame. So she had something to say about Timothee Chalamet's SAG Awards acceptance speech. And I hated the way that she mentioned this. I hated it. Because she had called Timothee Chalamet a little brat and said that he wasn't humble and that these certain thoughts should stay in your diary. And if anybody, take the time to go back and watch Timothee Chalamet's SAG Awards acceptance speech. This is a guy that has lost all season, all award season, and he's not new to losing. It's very difficult for some reason for people. I get it because he's young and there's so many other people that have been waiting for their shot, because there's obviously a limited amount of nominations, even a limited amount of awards winners. So it's hard for somebody of his age to gain that type of respect from his peers. And I want to speak very clearly. This woman is not his peer. I would never talk about ranking of people, but what she does is very different than what he does. Okay, you're on a talk show. He's an Oscar nominated many times over, Oscar nominated actor. You do not do the same things. You are not peers. Your age in the entertainment industry does not dictate your superiority. And as an artist, listening to what she was saying actually made me so mad because she brought up her own daughter. She was like, if my daughter was up there, to quote Kendrick Lamar, I would say, be humble. You would say that to your daughter? That makes me even more upset. Timothee Chalamet got up on stage and said, I want to be one of the greats. I'm inspired by Marlon Brando. I'm inspired by Viola Davis. I'm inspired. And he named a whole bunch of people. Legends. He said, I want to be that. Why is that offensive to you? I want everybody listening to this right now. Your confidence in yourself will look like arrogance to insecure people. Your confidence in yourself will look and feel like arrogance to those that have insecurities with who they are and what they've done. I had an ex-boyfriend who literally said this to me. He said, I don't like your newfound arrogance. And I said, I've never felt more confident or loved myself more. So the fact that you think I'm arrogant shows that you feel like you're unworthy of being with me and you got to step up. And he was unworthy of being with me. And I broke up with him on my birthday. Anyways, it made me so sad because also to quote Kendrick Lamar of saying, sit down, be humble, as if Kendrick Lamar doesn't have the exact lyric of it's not big three, it's just big me. Honey, it's kind of like people love to quote noble individuals as if they actually know what the hell they're talking about. Any person that has a real, This could get deep. Any person that has a notable quote that people love to quote often, usually the people that are quoting them don't understand the context of the person's individual experience. People love to quote Maya Angelou without knowing her individual life and experience. People love to quote the Bible without understanding its teachings, and they'll use it as a crutch for their improper judgment. And that's what's happening here. That got really deep and dark. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Everybody take a deep breath. That was a lot. That was a lot. As an artist, though, I get upset at this. I strive to be one of the greats. And has it ever occurred to you that maybe we don't need to aspire to be humble? And the opposite of humble is not outlandish ego and arrogance. You can be humble and confident at the same time. They're not antonyms, they're not opposites. You can be humble and say, I know what I'm worth, I know what I deserve. And how many times have I said this to you guys? One day when you see me, I'm looking straight into the camera. One day when you see me on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show, and he asks me, how's it going, bud? He loves to use the word bud. I love that man. I was his waitress once, by the way. And him and his family are so nice. Anyways, when he looks me in the eye and he says, how's it going, bud? How does this feel? I'm going to say, like I earned it. Because Timothee Chalamet knows the work he's put in for 5 years. He has every right to say, I want to be one of the greats. And this doesn't get me there, but it makes me a little bit closer. And that's what he said. And you think that that's okay to say, oh, sit down, humble yourself? No. I want all of you to know who's listening. Don't you ever feel shy about how much work you put in, because that's what that means. When people say we want you to be humble, they want you to be quiet, they want you to be meek, they want you to be modest, and they want you to be almost unaware of your success. Why? Unaware of your hard work. Why? Celebrate the little wins so that when the big wins come around, you say, I deserve that. I feel worthy of this. What is the definition of humble? I wrote it down. You're welcome. Because this pissed me off this bad. Having a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. So you have to be unaware of your own importance in order to be worthy of it? Bye. Absolutely not. Not in this day and age. Not in this day and age. We got billionaires running our country that think they're the best at everything. Why the hell can't you be the best at everything? Please. We got the most unqualified people running around giving their opinions in media, in entertainment, in government, all over the world. And he can't feel proud about the award he wins. The reason why I'm so angry about this is because this is what keeps people from striving. This is what keeps people in dead-end jobs. This type of mindset is what keeps people where they are. And for that woman to sit up on a sound stage on TV, on her barely known talk show, I don't even know her name, let alone where the show, what it is or where it's shot, was really sad for me, because there's nothing worse than seeing the older generation. Somebody on my TikTok said, blow out the younger generation's candles. And I was like, yeah, yes. You know, somebody else said, hold on, let me look it up. Polaris, an account on my, a follower of mine, or just somebody that was passing by my account, commented and said, humble and greatness are not opposing terms. Thank you for that. You're 100% right. You can be humble and you can strive for greatness. And I think it's a shame that people are so excited to tell people that you can't. Because you know what? I hope he doesn't see that video, or he could see mine. Love you. And also not this woman getting me on the internet to defend a man. How dare you? But Timothee Chalamet is very baby girl, so that's my new term these days. He's like I love him. Like if Timothee Chalamet ever came out with like a scandal where he was like super sexist or like racist or homophobic, I think I would cry. I adore him. I do. Something about like him and Zendaya being good friends like makes me feel really warm and fuzzy inside. Like something about Kylie Jenner I think higher of Kylie Jenner seeing the two of them together. Not because she's with him, but because I'm like, oh, I mean, I've always kind of been a fan of Kylie for the last few years. She's really rubbed off on me. I really, really enjoy her. I just think she's really cool and sweet and she's gorgeous, but like you could tell she like loves being a mom, whatever. Anyways, if he ever got into a scandal, it would really break my heart. Really break my heart. So Timothee, keep striving for greatness. I'm going to strive for greatness. I'm going to continue to tell people to strive for greatness because why shouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? That's not a rhetorical question. Why wouldn't you strive for greatness? When you have nothing going for you, when you're depressed, that's the opposite of striving for greatness. It has nothing to do with humility and arrogance. He wants to strive for greatness and that woman's telling him no. So what's the alternative? Not to strive for greatness? That is the message you're putting out? Shame, roasted. And do not come on the internet giving advice with crimped hair like that. No, girl. No. Is that crossing the line? No. I love how I'm like ripping on her for how she's like talking about her daughter, but I'm like, I talked about her hair. Is that crossing the line? Whatever. You know what? Forget it. In some really random news, guys, Michelle Trachtenberg died. The Ice Princess. Is that Ice Princess? Disney on Ice? She was in the move with Kim Cattrall being the nasty opposing mom with Hayden Panettiere. I'm like heartbroken over this. My friend was like crying. If you don't know who Michelle Trachtenberg is, she was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And if you don't know what Buffy the Vampire Slayer is, go change your life. And you might be too young for me. She was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She was in that Disney movie, that ice movie where she was like an ice skater. She's really great. She was in a bunch of different stuff, but also in Gossip Girl as Georgina Sparks. And I didn't know that was her last credit. So she hasn't really worked for the past 10 years. But I did see some recent photos of her a few weeks back and I was like, ooh, she doesn't really look that well. She looked like she either could be sick or maybe toying around with some substances. Because her face just looked very hollowed out in a worrisome way. Like not in like a normal aging way. But I feel really bad because her mother was the one who found her in her apartment. And that has to be extremely traumatic. So sending thoughts and prayers to her family and specifically her mother. No mother should have to do that, find their child that way. No mother. That is just, it's horrible. Talking about award season. I know I just really went to death and went back to award season. Sorry about that. Talking about award season, I'm seeing a lot of discourse online of people being very disappointed that Ariana Grande is not winning her awards. And she keeps losing them to Zoe Saldana. And I just, first off, when did we start calling her Zoe Saldana? Wasn't she always Zoe Saldana? But I guess she was like, no, it's been Saldana, and people were probably trying to like white her up in the early 2000s. So, you know, good for you, Zoe Saldana. So Zoe Saldana has been winning. And everyone's getting all upset, like all of Ariana Grande's stans are all getting so upset. Like, why? They're robbing her. They're out to get her. This is not new. They do this every award season. There's usually a fan favorite, but then there's a critic's favorite. And if you win, you know, if one person wins like the first two, it's usually projected that they'll win the rest. And it's kind of been a clean sweep so far for Zoe Saldana. And you know what really makes me sad? You know who I really feel bad for? Selena Gomez. People have so much to say about Ariana Grande because sure, she did a great job in Wicked. I haven't seen the movie yet because I promised myself I would see the musical first. Selena Gomez has been nominated for Emmys many times. She's been nominated all the time, but she hasn't won anything. She just won like a SAG award for the show Only Murders in the Building, but they never win. And she literally said that she was like, we never win. This is so cool. And I feel bad for her. Do I think that her stuff is like winning worthy? Not necessarily. I don't think she does. It's like a comedy. Only Murders in the Building. I've watched it and then I stopped watching it because I was like, meh. Okay, like it's okay. I can't sit here and be like, oh, Ariana is so deserving because Zoe Saldana has literally been in like some of the top grossing films of our time. She like it's so overdone. Like in the past, like for instance, Jamie Lee Curtis won over Angela Bassett for supporting actress. What was it? 2 years ago? Last year? 2 years ago? for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And everybody was like, what? You're only doing that because, she's so long overdue and she deserves to get it? No. If you're going to do that for Jamie Lee Curtis, then damn, do it for Zoe Saldana. She deserves it just as much. But no, I don't think Ariana Grande is going to win the Oscar. I just based off of the trends, like not even seeing the movie, I just don't think so. And all of the critics are loving Amelia Perez, or at least the ones that I'm seeing, which I'm shocked about because just the snippets I've seen. But you don't know. You never know, because all of the bad press that Amelia Perez, the movie, is getting right now because of their lead actress has some of the most disgusting tweets I've ever seen. Oh my God. Her tweets are like a Comedy Central roast of every single demographic. I mean, we're talking Muslim, we're talking like anybody. We're talking George Floyd, we're talking Black Lives Matter. She is just crazy. And it's not like old tweets. It's like pretty recent, obviously 2020, 2021, 2022. She even bashed Selena Gomez in one of the tweets. I'm like, oh my God, that's insane. That's insane that I don't know. I have so many thoughts on that. But I don't think that Zoe shouldn't get what she deserves because of what her co-star did. Ugh, whatever. I'm not even going to give attention to somebody who's so like homophobic and disgusting. If you want to go read the tweets, go read them, but brace yourselves because they're worse than you think. I was like, damn, you're an actor and you don't even have, like, at least have a little discernment of like, oh, people are probably going to see this. Go back and delete them. Like, hello? I've had my Twitter since I was 14 years old. You don't think, I was like, I'm not even going back to see what stupid shit I probably tweeted or said or whatever. I'm just going to delete the account because I don't have time for this. I don't trust myself. Myself as a 14-year-old, You know what? And that's how I know God's looking out for me, because for the longest time, I was always like, why hasn't my career taken off? Like I'm doing all these things. And I look back at who I was like 10 years ago and I'm like, thank God. I would have been canceled in a week. In a week. Okay? We're not even going to get into it. And one of these days, when my time comes and people want to cancel me, I'll be like, nah, you're right. Be like, all you're going to get from me is accountability, an apology, or the truth. Or all three. If I have ever done something, which I'm sure I have because I'm human. Whew, oh my God. Let's take a sip, shall we? Some interesting thought I've been having recently is that I saw Millie Bobby Brown and her husband, Jake Bon Jovi, John Bon Jovi. No, Jake. That sounds like a young name as opposed to his father. John sounds seasoned. They are married, which is insane because she's just became old enough to drink. They bought a farm in Georgia, this English girl. And, when you look at all these different celebrities and wealthy people, they're all buying farms and homesteads and getting cows and getting chickens and chicken coops and being self-sustainable. And I find it really interesting. Let me tell you why. I think that we have extorted and exploited so many of our resources, and our leadership, here I go getting political again, our leadership has completely milked us dry, that the new form of wealth is no longer property to build a mansion on. It's no longer having tennis courts and big movie theaters and having, a hotel-sized home. It's not the biggest penthouse on the highest floor in the newest or oldest skyscraper in New York City. It's sustainability through food and produce. So being able to have your own eggs and being able to have your own food and to make your own food, that is now wealth. Because I'm telling you, the fact that our organic food, which to me is like a made up word. It's like, so it's just fruit and food from the ground. Oh, it just hasn't been touched. So it's food. They should have a name for something that has been touched. So things that are not organic are the things that have like, pesticides and whatever the hell they put on it. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a farmer. The fact that food that's growing from the ground untouched is a luxury. Organic food is more expensive than food that has all this other stuff on top of it. Steroids within it and shit. Wax on top of apples and shit. Like, the new form of wealth is literally being able to rely on yourself. And this is a very scary territory to me. My brain is crashing out over it. If I think too much on this, like, I really start scaring myself. And I just think it's really crazy seeing how everybody is now turning into these rural, like, luxury farmer girls. Everybody thinks that they want that country living lifestyle. And don't worry, now the gentrification of the country culture and farming culture is coming. I'm seeing a lot of people in cowboy boots and cowboy hats here in New York City. It's really starting to freak me out. So say goodbye to luxury deals, goods, purses, aesthetics. It's going to, I do this for myself. It's kind of like, it's like the almond moms, but not in cities. Like in New York City, there's all these moms that are like, I do everything organic. Everything's a seed. Everything is just plucked. I go to farmers markets and now they're just buying the farm. It's really freaking me out. I posted a video about it and I was like, I'm going to delete it. But I didn't realize how many of you like really related to it. And people were like, I think you might be onto something. I was like, are we not all thinking about this right now? Okay, well, now that I got that off my chest, I just needed to say that. I'm scared. We're living in scary times. Very scary times. Ooh. So let's get to the topic you guys all want to hear about. The wedding. I am imploding. I am struggling to receive assistance and help from my parents. This is going to be a big topic, so buckle up. My parents, all of a sudden, are very excited to help and invest in my wedding. And I didn't really know what my wedding was going to look like because weddings are very expensive, especially here in New York. And I didn't really want money to dictate like the wedding we were going to have because as long as it was who we are. And my parents were like, we have money, for your wedding. We're going to give you some money for your wedding. And me being their only daughter, I guess, they've prioritized it a bit. And over the past few years, by few years, I mean like ever since I left my parents' house, have always been hustling for myself. And when you hustle for yourself and you don't have resources or mentorship and you leave your house young, you run yourself into money issues, which is what I did over and over again. I would get myself on my feet and then something else would come up and then I'd have to put out a fire. And I never shamed myself for it. I was upset with myself, of course, but I knew I was like, this is part of my journey. I'm learning every step of the way. And around 2020, 2021, I had a roommate situation where one of my roommates left me with a ton of debt. That was her debt, not mine, but it was under my name. It's a whole thing. I don't want to get into it. And it pushed me back really hard and it made it difficult for me to get on my feet. We got into a new apartment, myself and my fiance at the time, boyfriend. And I really struggled. I thought that like the pandemic was really going to catapult me to financial stability. And it did to an extent, but not fully. Like every day is a hustle for me. Every day. And around 2021, I got myself in a bit of a hole. Not ginormous in the grand scheme of things, but it's a lot for me. And I had mentioned it to my mother recently because I'm still kind of paying it off. And I told her, I said, just don't tell dad because dad, my dad's a tough one. I love my dad, but I've said this to you guys before. My dad's a tough one with me. I, myself and my brother always feel like it's easier for us to handle our own garbage and to dig our hole deeper than to ask for help because a lot of the times asking for help gets thrown back in our face. And nobody wants to ask for help when we feel like when we ask for it, we're shamed and judged for it. I always felt like I was looked down upon for choosing the life that I chose. But this is what makes me happy. I'm an extremely grateful person for the choices I've made thus far in my life. I like who I am, and I'm happy that I chose not to take the scholarships offered to me because they would have taken me in a direction that I wouldn't have been happy with in the long run. And I think I was shamed for that and judged for that. And so asking for help because I had asked for help once before and it didn't work out. It's not a good feeling for me. And everything that I do, every content that I, create and every video I post and every piece of music that I write, it's because like my dream is to pay off my parents' mortgage and to like tell, like my cousins and my brother and whatever, like, hey, block off this week in August. I'm paying for all of us to go away on a boat. Like, I want to do that for them and I will. And I am doing that for them. But because I'm not in the position of my life that I'm at yet, accepting help makes me feel like a failure. And I tie that into my career. And so my parents, obviously, they're very excited to help me out with the wedding, which that is a gift that I accept because I know that that makes them proud. That's a thing for parents that makes them proud and excited to do. But when it comes to trying to help me pay off debt and help us get out of this apartment, it was really difficult for me because my mom told my dad without my permission. And I was so upset with her because I was like, you don't get it. I told you not to tell him because he looks down on me when these things happen. And it feels like, oh, well, I got to swoop in and fix my screw up daughter's mess again. And I don't come to you guys with my issues because I just feel like they get thrown back in my face if I ever piss you guys off. Anytime we get into an argument, it'll be like, oh, well, that's why we shouldn't have helped you out then. You're ungrateful. I'm like, no, that has nothing to do with the argument at hand. Just because you pissed me off because of something at dinner doesn't mean that whatever. I'm rambling really, really hard at this point, but this is how it makes me feel. And I realized that a lot of this feeling of feeling like a failure and not accepting help because of it is my own perception. And me and my mom got into a blowout fight, screaming fight. And when I say blowout, I mean 24 hours. That's big for us. And we had this big conversation, my father and I, after me and my mom had a blowout fight. And I was like, you don't get it. You make me feel like I am small when I ask for help. And I know that you hold it against me and sometimes it feels transactional. And my dad was like, I don't want you to feel like that. That's not, he's like, well, you shouldn't, him and his really jaded, barely emotionally way was just like, you shouldn't feel like that. Thanks, Dad, I'm cured. I'm like, hey, Dad, that really makes me feel like you think I'm a failure. Well, don't think that. Well, fixed. Thanks. Ugh. And so I'm not accepting their help, but having this conversation with them and then my mother after, my mom said, you have to get we're proud to do that for you. And I said, yeah, but you do it for me because, we didn't have our parents help us out and we're helping you guys out and you make us feel bad for that. And she's like, no, we say that because we're proud that we put ourselves in a position after being broke for so many years to be able to help you out if you need help because we didn't have it. And I'm like, yeah, but sometimes it doesn't get framed to me that you're proud to do that. It gets framed to me like it's a burden to do that. And I feel like a burden. And it just got tied back into so many layers. And I realized I have so much to work on internally. There's so much trauma that I feel like I have to work on. And it's just important for me to share that with you guys, even if I do sound like I'm rambling and like I'm all over the place, because I am not, I know you guys listen to me a lot of the time for advice and clarity, but like I am not someone with all the answers. But I hope that like me checking myself can help you check yourself too. I wanted to be so mad at my mom for telling my dad, but then I ended up being grateful because I learn a little bit more about my parents all the time and every day. She was just like, we didn't have money when you were kids. Like my parents were in a good position at one point, but I grew up I always thought we grew up extremely, extremely, uh, not poor, but like definitely lower middle class. Everything was breaking and falling apart. And my mom was like, we did the best that we could. We didn't have anything to spare, but we did the best that we could. And she's like, and now we're both retired. They're both newly retired. And they're trying to, enjoy some of the fruits of their many, many years of labor. And I guess I'm just like not used to that. And so if anybody out there is listening where you feel uncomfortable accepting help or accepting a gift, maybe realize it is the type of help that you were asking for or praying for. It just might not be in the package that you expected. Because my parents saying like, yeah, we can help you and we want to, felt so foreign to me that I rejected it because I'm like, no, so you could throw it in my face. But I'm trying to understand where I feel and where I fit with that. And this has affected our wedding planning process. And the more that I get into this wedding planning process, the more I'm feeling really engulfed in it, which is terrifying. We're trying to find a place that just like feels like us, but feels like the city, but still is fun, but has great food. It's very difficult. Oof. This was a very big vent sesh for me. I hope I didn't bore you with that entirely long story. Next week, we're going to do our very best to have a guest. I'm thinking we're probably going to use Dano, maybe Bianca. I don't think you guys have met Bianca yet. So I think it may be time for you to meet my girl B. I've officially asked all of my bridesmaids to be my bridesmaids. We're going to have 7 bridesmaids. Meet the crew, okay? Maid of honor, my cousin Brittany. Easy, maid of honor. And then we are having my cousin Emily, my sister-in-law Emily, my cousin Lisbeth, my friend Joanna, my friend Bianca, and my friend Kat. Slay. And then my friend Dominic, I asked him to be a bridesman, and I was like, listen, you don't have to be. But I'm just letting you know that that you're that important to me. And he was like, I love you, but that you deserve that with your girls. I will do a reading at your wedding, and I'll make me like the ring bearer or something. I was like, okay, we'll figure it out. So everything is moving along. I hope I don't bore you guys with this shit. Oh my God. I get so insecure about being boring. Fuck that. I'm not boring. You're boring. Sorry. No, I'm just kidding. It's a joke. So stay with us on this wedding planning journey. It is going to be insane. I think I will have Dano on for the next episode because I think it's going to be wild talking about this wedding stuff. So before I leave you, do not forget to follow me on Instagram for all the updates on the new show. Okay? March 27th, you will see me live, and we are selling live stream videos. Ebook for the PSAs, PSA ebook coming out very shortly before the show. And some new music. The show, we will be performing some unreleased music. And there'll be a special guest or two. All right, guys. A nice, fun one. Lighthearted one today. I love you dearly. I love you so much. Every week, we're going to be better. Every week, we touch in with each other. Every week, we say an affirmation and share moments and do our best to disassociate from what's happening in the world. I love you so much. I will see you on the next one. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share. This has been Coffee Talk. I hope you've enjoyed your cup of tea, your coffee, and a martini because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. And I'll see you next time. Love you. Bye.